Welcome all American football lovers back to the US Football News Channel. Our content is produced by 24 Hours Online Media. Today we will start with the following notable content. What's up, college football fans? Welcome back to the channel. With the college football playoff rankings set to drop soon, we're getting down to the wire. Everyone's got their eyes on which 4 teams will get those precious first-round byes and which teams will be scrapping it out in those intense matchups. We've got a lot of questions on the table, especially with SMU, Alabama, and the rest of the contenders, and I've got my best guesses on what the bracket will look like this Sunday. Let's dive in. The SMU and Alabama dilemma. Okay, let's start with the big question, SMU or Alabama? This is what's been keeping the College Football Playoff Committee up at night. SMU went down to Clemson in a heartbreaker last weekend, losing 34-31 on a last-second field goal, dropping their record to 11-2. Now, they're on the edge of playoff contention, but will they make the cut? Meanwhile, Alabama, with a 9-3 record, has jumped Miami in the rankings despite being a game behind the Hurricanes in the win column. The committee's reasoning? Miami has stumbled with 2 losses in their last 3 games, including a season-ending loss to Syracuse. But should Alabama really leapfrog SMU, who had a much better record before that tough loss? It's a tricky situation, and committee chair Ward Manuel admitted that they're keeping all options on the table. I'm not sure if SMU drops out if they lose. Manuel said, "We'll evaluate everything, watch the games, and see how things unfold." So, yeah, the playoff committee has some tough calls to make here. But don't be surprised if they end up keeping SMU in the playoff picture. Even if they're not in the best spot after that loss, we'll see how it all shakes out. First round byes predictions. Alright, let's move on to the juicy stuff. Who's getting the first round byes? I've got my predictions locked in for the top 4 teams. These teams have shown they're championship worthy, and it's no surprise they'll be taking a breather in the first round. Oregon, 13-0. Big Ten champion, no surprise here. Oregon's been dominant all season and clinched the Big Ten title. They're the team to beat. Georgia, 11-2. SEC champion, another powerhouse team that has earned a spot in the top 4. Georgia has had a great season, despite some bumps along the way. Their SEC title solidifies their spot. Boise State, 12-1. Mountain West champion, Boise State's impressive season and conference championship pushed them into the top 4. And they deserve a break in the first round. Arizona State, 11-2. Big 12 champion, Arizona State has played solid football all season and capped it off with a Big 12 title, securing them a bye. First round matchups. Now for the really fun part, the first round matchups. This is where things get super interesting, and I've got some predictions that are sure to stir up some debate. Let's break it down. Number 12 SMU, 11-2. At large, at number 5 Texas, 11-2. At large, despite that brutal loss to Clemson, SMU is still in the mix, just hanging on to the final spot in the bracket. Texas, however, has been solid all year, and despite their recent loss, they're going to host SMU in a tough matchup. Number 11 Clemson, 10-3. ACC champion, at number 6 Penn State, 11-2. At large, Clemson's victory over SMU was huge for them. And as the ACC champions, they've earned their spot in the playoff. Penn State will be no easy opponent, but this one is shaping up to be an incredible game. Number 10 Indiana, 11-1. At large, at number 7 Notre Dame, 11-1. At large, Indiana had a great regular season, and they've earned a spot in the playoff. But taking on a tough Notre Dame team will be no walk in the park. This matchup has all the makings of a classic. Number 9 Tennessee, 10-2. At large, at number 8 Ohio State, 10-2. At large, Ohio State, despite their recent struggles, will take on a tough Tennessee squad that's hungry for a playoff spot. This one is going to be one for the ages. Why SMU still makes the cut? Here's why I think SMU is still going to be in the playoff field. Even with that tough loss to Clemson, despite the loss, their overall body of work is impressive. They've been one of the best teams in their conference, and their strong season should keep them in the running. Plus, there's still the possibility that the committee doesn't drop them too far. especially when you consider how many teams have had ups and downs this season. Remember, the committee values strength of schedule, conference championships, and head-to-head matchups. Even though SMU's loss to Clemson wasn't ideal, it wasn't enough to completely knock them out of contention, especially with teams like Alabama and Miami having their own struggles. The road ahead for the top teams. As we look ahead to these first-round matchups, we know the competition is going to be fierce. The top 4 teams will get their bye. But for everyone else, it's do or die. These matchups are the real deal. And any of these teams could make a deep playoff run. The biggest question heading into the final rankings: who's going to come out on top? Will SMU's spot be locked in? Or will Alabama's strong late-season push be enough to push them into the field? We'll find out soon enough. Closing thoughts. So, what do you think? Do you agree with my predictions? Or do you think the committee is going to surprise us all? One thing's for sure, it's going to be an exciting Sunday when the final college football playoff rankings are announced. Make sure to drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more college football content. We've got you covered for all the latest updates, predictions, and analysis. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. What's up, college football fans? It's your favorite armchair quarterback back at it again. And today we're talking about something that's been on everyone's minds: the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. Yeah, that bunch of folks who basically decide who gets the chance to fight for the national title. But are they doing it right? Is there a better way? Grab your popcorn, because things are about to get wild. Now, we all know that college football is like the NFL's crazy cousin who shows up at family reunions, drinks too much soda, and starts arguing about rankings. And when the season is on the line, and the stakes are higher than ever, the CFP committee gets to work, throwing out rankings and selections like they're preparing for a high-stakes fantasy football draft. But let's be real, it's not all sunshine and touchdowns. The origins of the selection committee. Let's rewind a little bit, shall we? Back in 2014, the CFP committee had to make one of its first big calls. Who gets the last spot in the playoffs? TCU, Baylor, or Ohio State? Well, they picked Ohio State, and the world went bananas. People were so mad they started sending letters and probably a few pizzas to the committee members, I'm sure. Fast forward to 2016, and the committee made another controversial decision. They picked Washington from the Pac-12 over Big Ten champions Penn State. Yikes. Dan Radakovich, Miami's athletic director, was actually on that committee when these decisions went down. But now, it's Radakovich's own team, Miami, who is sitting on the outside looking in. Despite being 10-2 and ranked number 12, Radakovich's Hurricanes have been left on the chopping block as the CFP selection committee gets ready to make its final picks. Imagine that, being in the room when these tough calls